We are to be set apart in truth. We are to be set apart in His name. We are to walk in His ways. We are to be one. Are we even one? Even in the name. We got one saying Lord, we got one saying God, we got one saying Adonai, we got one saying Hashem, we got another one saying Yahweh, we got another one saying Yahweh, we got another one saying Yehovah, we got another one saying Yahweh, and then Yahuwah. We got another one, Yahweh. What are we doing? If He said, I have made your name known to them, and shall make it known, then what are we doing? We better understand what the Father is asking here, what the Father is saying. So, if we go have a look and see, I want to be able to look at now. If we look at John chapter 17, we see that Father is speaking about a specific people. Abba is really talking about a specific people, yeah. These were His disciples, and then from the disciples there were going to be other disciples that He was going to be making. And they were going to walk and obey His commands. Now, I want us to be able to go and read Matthew chapter 25, verses 1 to 13. Because when we had a look at, I'm talking a lot about a bride, that this is about a bride. So we need to go look and see. In the dream that I had, He spoke a lot about, we read there, let's just go read the scripture over here, where He turns around and He says, see then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Therefore, do not be unwise, but understand what is the will of Yahuwah. So, we need to look at the scripture and see that He's looking for wise. So, where else does He talk about wise? Wow, the wise and the foolish virgins. So, He's talking over here about who's the bride and who's not the bride. Because He's talking about be wise. This was a dream about a people that are in the multitudes in the valley of decision, but He's saying, I want to set apart people. A little leaven is going to leaven the whole bunch. You need to be set apart unto me. And every decision that you're going to make is going to cost you. So, let us go now and look at Matthew chapter 25. Because we're going to get into this now. Then the reign of the heavens shall be compared to 10 maidens. Okay, so He's talking about the kingdom. The reign of the heavens is going to be compared to 10 maidens. Important that you see that word maidens, which the maidens is the same as the virgins, but it's maidens, who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. The 5 of them were wise, and the 5 foolish. Now, did we just read that? See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise. Understand? So, He says, and the 5 were wise and 5 foolish. Those who were foolish, having taken their lamps, took no oil with them. But the wise took oil in their containers with their lamps. Now while the bridegroom took time, they all slumbered and slept. Do you see? Yeah, it says, wake up! Wake up! Wake up, you who sleep! Arise from the dead, and Yeshua will give you light. So He's talking. Now while the bridegroom took time, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight, a cry was heard. See, the bridegroom is coming. Go out to meet him. See, the multitudes in the valley of decision, they had decisions to make because the day of Yahuwah was at hand. That's the day when Yeshua is going to come. Hey? Multitudes in the valley of decision. The day of Yahuwah is at hand. Let's read it there. What does it say? Because you've got to link the Savior up. I'm telling you, this is the most powerful message that you're going to be able to see. May Abba give us the grace to understand what he's saying. Multitudes in the valley of decision. For the day of Yahuwah is near in the valley of decision. So, the day of Yahuwah is at hand. The day of Yeshua's coming is at hand. But these are the multitudes sitting in the valley of decision that are not making decisions to follow him. The sun will grow dark. The stars will diminish their brightness. And Yahuwah will be roaring from Zion. So there we go. Now he's talking of here. He says, now while the bridegroom took time, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight, a cry was heard, see, the bridegroom is coming. Go out to meet him. Then all these maidens rose up and trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said to the wise, give us of your oil, because our lamps are going out. But the wise answered, saying, no, indeed. There would not be enough for us. And you, instead, you go to those who sell and buy for yourselves. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready went in with him to the wedding feast, and the door was shut. And later the other maidens also came, saying, Master, Master, open up for us. But he answered, said, truly I say to you, I do not know you. Okay.
We've heard that before.
How many times have we heard that? He just said, I know them. And then we've got the ones, Matthew chapter 7, verses 21 to 23. There's going to come those, and they're going to say, but Yahuwah, Yeshua, we cast out demons in your name. We prophesied in your name. He says, I do not know you. And that word you practice lawlessness, anomia, meaning what? You did not follow ways of Torah. Okay, we're going to get into this now. But he answered, saying, truly, I say to you, I do not know you. Watch therefore, because you do not know the day nor the hour in which the Son of Adam is coming. Okay. Now we are going to look a little bit deeper into this, what Yahushua is speaking here. Because we need to tie this in with everything that he has been saying, in the dreams that he's been giving. Because if this is the scripture that he's giving, that is tying in with this Ephesians chapter 5, where he's saying, tell them they need to wake up. You who sleep, arise from the dead. See that you walk circumspectly. See that you walk in tamim, perfect before me, without spot, without wrinkle. Redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Therefore do not be unwise, but understand what the will of Yahuwah is. Okay, so now, these are virgins. Now, if we look again, if we tie this back to Matthew chapter, because we've heard when he says, I do not know you. So if we tie it back to Matthew chapter 7, now while we're there, let me just quickly go there, when he says, not everyone who says to me, Master, Master, shall enter into the reign of the heavens, but he who is doing the desire of my Father in the heavens. He who is doing the will of my Father. Now, is the will of his Father that you just do your own thing and you do your own religious thing? Or is the will of the Father that we obey his commands, which is what he gave from the beginning? We're going to go into this now. Many shall say to me in that day, Master, Master, have we not prophesied in your name, cast out demons in your name, and done many mighty works in your name? And then I shall declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who work lawlessness. That is anomia, which means Torahlessness, which means you did not keep my Torah. Okay, now here is another example. These are maidens. They are virgins. They are the representative. Everybody's always talked about the bride. We are the bride. We are all the bride. Oh, we are the bride. Okay, yeah, there were 10 of them. that were the bride. They were all 10 maidens. They were all 10 virgins. They were all maidens. They were the so-called bride that was waiting for the bridegroom. It turns around and it says, these are the 5 wise and foolish virgins. It says, and at midnight, see the bridegroom is coming, go out to meet him. So these are the bride waiting for the bridegroom. Okay. Now, what is the difference between the 5 wise and the 5 foolish? The 5 wise had oil in their lamps. What is oil representative of? The oil was put in the menorah, which is the 7 spirits of Elua. The 7 spirits of Elua is representative of the spirit of might, spirit of counsel, spirit, it's the Holy Spirit. Okay, so you need the Ruach of Elua. When the Ruach of Elua was given, when the Father prepared his bride, did the Father also prepare a bride? Yes, Father prepared a bride. When he took them out of the land of Egypt, when they came out of Mitzrayim, Abba took them out of Mitzrayim, and where did he bring them to? He brought them to Mount Sinai. He said to Moses, prepare the people, prepare them. If I'm not mistaken, they were prepared for 3 days, or was it 7 days? I'm not sure. Let me just quickly go and look and see, because now I'm talking from the top of my head. Let me go and see in Shemot. Exodus, Shemot, chapter 19. This is where we see the account of the bride. And in the 3rd new moon, after the children of Israel had come out of the land of Mitzrayim, on this day they came to the wilderness of Sinai, for they set out for Rephidim, and had come to the wilderness of Sinai and camped in the wilderness. So Israel camped there before the mountain. And Moshe went up to Elua, and Yahuwah called to him from the mountain, saying, this is what you are to say to the children of Israel. Declare to the children of Israel, you have seen what I did to the Mitzrites, and how I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. And now, this is the word that he says, yeah. And, okay, verse 11 explains it. On the 3rd day. This is being amazing. Abba, you are, Abba, you're bringing it all together, Abba. On the 3rd day. On the 3rd day, you will gather the bride. On the 3rd day, you gather the bride. And here it says, and shall be prepared by the 3rd day. For on the 3rd day, Yahuwah shall come down upon Mount Sinai before the eyes of all the people. On the 3rd day. So Abba says on the 3rd day he wants to dwell before us. So he's looking for a bride on this 3rd day. This is to be the bride. You see what he's talking about of your Mount Sinai. That's why he said, go there. Go there. You see, I don't even know. He leads and he speaks. On the 3rd day, he said, prepare them to stand before Mount Sinai. This is when he was gathering a bride, isn't it? And what did he say to his bride? He said to them, and now, if you diligently obey my voice and shall guard my covenant, then you shall be my treasured possession above all the peoples, for all the earth is mine. And you shall be to me a reign of priests and a set apart nation. Those are the words which you are to speak to the children of Israel. Has anything changed? Has anything changed from this? His father's still looking for a priesthood. His father's still looking for a priestly bride. Is he still looking for that? Did we cover that in when we went into detail into Zephaniah, where we said the Father's going to raise up priests, and these priests are the ones that are going to be his bride. This is when he gathered a bride unto himself, and he said, clean them, and on the 3rd day, set them apart. Verse 11, he says, set them, and you shall be prepared by the 3rd day, for the 3rd day Yahuwah shall come down upon Mount Sinai. So he said, and Yahuwah said to Moshe, see, I am coming to you, verse 9. See, I'm coming to you and in the thick cloud, so that the people hear when I speak with you and believe you forever. And Moshe reported the words of the people to Yahuwah. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, go to the people and set them apart today and tomorrow, and they shall wash their garments. Okay, so we need to be cleansed, set apart. We are so worried about our call. You see, people are so worried about what their call is, that they're supposed to be going out there doing a big call for the Father. The most important thing that Father's trying to do with these people right now is trying to clean them up before He sets them forth. That's why we've been going through so many things. When He's cleaned us up, He sends us forth. Because it says, and they shall wash their garments and shall be prepared by the third day. For the third day, Yahuwah shall come down upon Mount Sinai before the eyes of all the people. So you see, what did we read in Zephaniah? We read in Haggai. What did we read in Haggai? Not Haggai, Hosea. Let me quickly go there, because we're tying all of this together with all these dreams. Everything needs to tie together, because Abba has told me to put this prophetic message together. This is not my word, it's His word. This is not my doing, this is His doing. This is not anything to do with me. It's His word. It's what He wants to do. It's what He wants to say. And may I have the grace in order to be able to reveal it the way He wants to reveal it. Let's go look Hosea chapter 6. What did He say? Hosea chapter 6. Come, let us turn back to Yahuwah, for He has torn, but He shall heal us. He has stricken, but He has bound us up. After 2 days He shall revive us, and on the third day He shall raise us up, so that we live before Him. So this is the third day where He wants to raise up a bride who has made a decision to not be the multitude in the valley of decision. So now, let's look and see this bride that He's talking about in Mount Sinai. What was it that He wanted to do on Mount Sinai? His bride was to be able to receive what? His commands, His Torah, that was supposed to be written on the tablets of their hearts. Is it not? Yes, it is. So when He talks about the oil, they had oil in their lamps. What is that oil? That oil is the Ruach HaKodesh. What was the purpose of the Ruach HaKodesh having been given us? The Ruach HaKodesh was given us to write Torah upon our hearts. Let's go and read it. See, Jeremiah 31. Let's go and read in Jeremiah 31, so that we can make sure that we get this whole message of what Abba's trying to give us here. So we go now and we read Jeremiah. And it's also confirmed in Ezekiel chapter 36. Jeremiah 31. And he says in Jeremiah 31, verses 31 to 34. See, the days are coming, declares Yahuwah, when I will make a renewed covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Yehudah. So the house of Israel and the house of Yehudah, it's the fullness. Not like the covenant I made with their fathers in the day when I strengthened their hand and bring them out of the land of Mitzrayim. That was on Mount Sinai. So that is when He gathered a priesthood on Mount Sinai. My covenant which they broke, though I was a husband to them, declares Yahuwah. For this is the covenant I shall make with the house of Israel after those days, declares Yahuwah. I will put my Torah in their inner word parts and write it on their hearts. And I shall be their Eluah, and they shall be my people. So the reason for us having been given Torah, the reason for us having been given the Ruach HaKodesh was for what reason? To write the Torah upon our hearts. And what does it mean to write the Torah upon our hearts? That word heart is the word lev, which if you look deeper into that word lev, that word is the word heart. Heart is known as the nefesh of man, which is the soul of man, which means He's written it upon our minds, our will, our emotions, because that is the nefesh. The heart is the nefesh of man, which is the soul of man, which is, He writes it upon your heart, which means He writes it upon your mind, your will, your emotions. Everything that you think about is walking ways of Torah. Everything your will is to obey ways of Torah. Your emotions comes in line with ways of Torah. That is what it means. Now, listen to what he says in verse 34. And no longer shall they teach each one his neighbor and each one his neighbor, saying, know Yahuwah. Okay, did we read about knowing Yahuwah? Did we read, and we are to know him? No one will need to tell you that you are to know Yahuwah, for they shall all know me, from the least of them to the greatest of them, declares Yahuwah. For I shall forgive their crookedness and remember their sin no more. So that is what we're going to come into. The day is going to come when we will all know him, when we will all yada. The word for know in the Hebrew is the word yada, which means we will know him, which will means we will perceive, recognize, understand, become acquainted with him as a husband and a wife in intimacy. Why? Because this word know is that you know him when you obey his commands. So no, I will not need to tell you to know him, because you will know him. You know why? Because you know that you know him when you obey his commands. Because you have the oil. You are the virgin with the oil. Now do you understand why those foolish virgins could not come and be giving? I could not give. No one can go and give. I cannot go and give another person an oil that I have had to work for. That I have had to work this is my halakha. This is my walk. I walk out my belief. I received the Ruach HaKodesh. When I received him, I returned back to ways of Torah, because Torah was written upon my heart, and I walked out these ways of Torah. That is my halakha. That is my walk. That is what I live, because it is embedded in my mind, my will, my emotions, because it is in my heart, which is my nefesh. The heart is the lev, and the heart is known as the soul of man, which is known as the nefesh. This is deep. I know this is deep. This is going layers deep. Now, when he turns around and he talks about the foolish virgins, let's see who these foolish virgins are. So these were the foolish virgins. Now remember, he said, he stood there, he looked at those and he said, those are the multitudes in the valley of decision. Don't be unwise like those in the valley of decision that need to make the decision to obey me. Guess what? Let's look. Let's look and see. Who are these? So, now, we look at Ezekiel 36. Let's confirm what we just read in Jeremiah 31. Let's go and confirm it with Ezekiel 36, but I want you to see something over here. So let's read from verses... Okay, verse 22. Ezekiel 36 from verse 22. Therefore say to the house of Israel, thus says the Master Yahuwah, I do not do this for your sake, O house of Israel, but for the sake of my set apart name. Do you see once again, this is about his name being exalted, being glorified, being set apart, which you have profaned amongst the nations wherever you went. So if you are a so-called bride and you're not even keeping his name and you don't even know his name, are you a bride? You are profaning his name with your Lord and your God and whatever else you want to call him, apart from calling him his name. Because you are profaning. And that word profane means to actually make it into something common. It means to profane it, means to make it common, to make it like it's not even important. It's like as if it didn't even exist. So, that was what I got when I did the whole teaching. So, on the teaching of the name, this is all there. And I shall set apart my great name, which has been profaned. Now he says it again. And I shall set apart my great name. Did we see Yeshua came to restore his father's name? He revealed it to the disciples. So what is this bride going to do? Her mission is going to be to make sure that people are going to know the name of the Father. Believe you me. Okay? And I shall set apart my great name, which has been profaned amongst the nations, which you have profaned in their midst. And the nations shall know that I am Yahuwah, declares the Master Yahuwah, when I am set apart in you before their eyes. So he needs to be set apart in us, so that they can see him. Okay? And I shall take you. Now here it goes. And I shall take you from among the nations, and I shall gather you out of the land, and I shall bring you into your own land. And I shall sprinkle clean water on you. Did it say he's going to wash us with water and the word? Okay. I shall sprinkle clean water on you, and you shall be clean. From your filthiness and from all your idols I cleanse you. So he is going to set apart a people that will no longer have mixed seed. They will know whom they follow. They will come out of every idolatrous religious system that there is, that was given us from Constantine, with the Sunday worship, with pagan worship, and everything that's come down from there. And all this idolatrous ways that we follow is going to clean us up. And I shall give you a new heart. I shall give you a new soul, a new mind, will, emotions. That's lev. And put a new, the nefesh, and put a new spirit within you. And I shall take the heart of stone out of your flesh, and I shall give you a heart of flesh. Because the second, remember, the tablets of stone, the first one was broken. Remember? Tablets of stone, they came down. Moshe got the 10 Commandments. What happened? They broke. He knew they were going to not follow his ways when he gave them the commands already on Mount Sinai. So the first lot was broken. But where were the second lot put in? The ark. In the ark of the covenant. Now, that ark of the covenant is the ark of his presence, is it not? So if you are going to be protected in these last days, you are going to be protected by the ark of his presence. And in your heart needs to be that commands written on your heart for you to have the ark of his presence. Do you understand? When I was Noah on an ark, that is the revelation that the Father gave me. He said, your protection is the ark of my presence. It is an ark, that the only ark that there is the ark of his presence. And the ark of that presence carries everything that is within that ark, which is the Torah that was written upon your heart. That you need to walk out, because that is the oil that they carried in the lamps. Because that is the Ruach. And what is the Ruach? The Ruach was no longer tablets. Remember, they were put in the ark of the covenant. Now what do we have? Do we have an ark right now? No. What have we got? We've got the Ruach of Eluah that writes what? Torah upon our hearts. Because we become the very dwelling place of Yahuwah, the temple that carries his dwelling place, that becomes his dwelling place, isn't it? So how do we carry his presence and not be obedient to him? I don't understand. It's impossible. Then that means you don't carry his presence. It's that simple. You are one of the other virgins, which is going to show you what kind of virgin this one is. And I shall give you a new heart and will put a spirit in you. And I shall take the heart of stone out of your flesh, and I shall give you a heart of flesh and put my spirit within you. And I will cause you to walk in my laws and guard my right rulings, and you shall do them. But okay, let's look at these foolish virgins, because now we're going to look at this. Okay. Why is it that these foolish virgins, they had oil, but the oil ran out? Okay, so now guess what the Father reveals to me. So these foolish virgins is like this church. We receive the Holy Spirit. But what is the Holy Spirit good for? To make me have a good feeling in my flesh. So now, I have this manifestation of the Holy Spirit, but the manifestation has become about what is in my flesh. So I'm enjoying his presence. I'm enjoying running around and laughing and crying and doing all these things, because it's an outward manifestation. But have I allowed the Ruach to be able to do what he was really given me to do, to be my teacher, to be my guide, to be the one who will write Torah upon my hearts? So guess what happens? When I go out, I'm going to run out of oil, because that is only going to carry me so long. If you're going to have a manifestation of your flesh, if you reap to the flesh, sow to the flesh, and you will get what comes from the flesh. If you want a fleshly manifestation of the Ruach, you will have a fleshly manifestation of the Ruach. Remember what he said to me with those multitudes? He says to me, if you sow to the flesh, you will reap of the flesh. If you sow to the Spirit, you will reap of the Spirit. So if all you want the Holy Spirit for, if all you want the Ruach HaKodesh for, is to have a manifestation of your flesh, you will have exactly that. When the time comes and the pawpaw starts to hit the fan and the days are going to get dark and you're going to start to be persecuted, you will not stand, because you have not learned what it means to obey His word, to walk your halacha, meaning the oil of the Torah that is written upon your hearts is what is embedded in your heart, which is what is in your soul, in your nefesh, and you will walk it out in your mind, in your will, in your emotions. Your whole life is based on that walk. Now, how can I give you that oil? How can I do that? Is it even possible for me to do that? Because if you have not learned, if all you want the Holy Spirit for is for an outward manifestation of your flesh, so that you can giggle and roll on the floor and enjoy all this that is out there, and it's all this nice signs, wonders, miracles, if that is what you're chasing after, that's why he says, if they say to you, there I am, because there's these false prophets doing signs, wonders, miracles, if you want to chase after that, go ahead. It's not going to last. Because guess what? Did it last for them in the wilderness? Did those signs and wonders and miracles stop them from being disobedient? Did it? No. They saw this Red Sea parting. They saw the biggest signs and wonders that you could imagine. They saw it with their own eyes. Did that keep them from being disobedient? No. So if you want to follow after the manifestation of a nice feeling in your flesh, and you want this gospel that is giving you an entertainment, and you want a gospel that is all it does is feed your flesh, and you want a little bit of this and a little bit of that, carry on. Because can I tell you something? It's not going to last. Because let me tell you what the Father has revealed to me, and it was through a friend of mine's dream, where this little boy, her son's name is Levi, and her son had a dream. And in this dream, there were shofars, there were talits, there were menorahs, and there were all these utensils that are the things that the Messianic people want. So the Messianic people want a menorah in the house, they want a talit, they want a mezuzah, they want the shofar. These are the kind of things that they want. So we have all these nice things. So we want to take all the Jewish things. But are we obeying the ways that goes with it? So in this dream, Yeshua said, go fetch back the things that you've stolen. Because you stole from me. And this is what I say. If you want to put your mezuzah on your door, but you're still bringing pork and unclean things into your house, what are you doing? What are you doing? Because it says, as for me and my house, if you put there, you are saying, I will shama, I will listen, I will obey. If you want to put your mezuzah on your door, but you don't want to shama, you don't want to listen, and you don't want to obey, you don't want to come back into the ways of Torah, what are you doing? If you want to take the holy things of the Father, like a menorah, with the 7 spirits of Elua, that is actually those 7 spirits that need to be written, write Torah upon your heart, for those 7 spirits of Elua is to be able to make sure that He writes Torah upon your heart, and you don't want to walk out the fullness of Torah. Why do you want a menorah then? Oh, then you want to have a talit. You want to put a talit, but you don't even want to be able to adhere to the commands. The 4 corners of that talit is being able to come into the commands. But you don't want to obey His Torah, but you want a talit to put over you. What are you doing? You are profaning that which is holy. You are setting as common that which is holy. You are making that which is holy common. And the Father says, it's enough. Father says, it's enough. It's enough. Be holy as I am holy. Do that which I tell you to do. Do not profane my holy things. So we want to become these Messianic believers, and even some Christians, they want to take all these Jewish things and they want to run to Israel. And then the next minute, everybody's going to Israel because it's a big thing. But are we willing to come back into obedience to what Israel had to come back into? Because that is what the Father is asking of us. Are you willing to walk out your path? Are you willing to be a set apart one? Are you willing to be set apart unto Him? Because that is what He's asking for. So now, we need to, this is a lot. This is a lot and it's deep. Okay, let me quickly go and have a look at, I want to read to you, this is what I want to read, because we're going to then go into Revelation and really look at and see who is this bride, who is this remnant of this bride. I want to read to you because in last year, when Abba sent us to Israel for 6 weeks, last year March, He sent us to the land for 6 weeks, and we had a major work to do there of a cleansing in the land of the really an unholy that land is being run by an unholy priesthood, and we need to restore the priesthood, because right now it is being run by a synagogue of Satan, and we need to understand that, and that is the honest truth, and it's not the holy land like we think it is. Abba is going to have to clean that land up, and that's why Abba sends people there to be able to go and speak the things the way it should be, uprooting that which shouldn't be and replacing that with what it should be. And one of the things that the Father got us to do last year was to be able to proclaim a very specific scripture from Jeremiah 19, which is a serious judgment. And when Abba showed me that Jeremiah 19, Abba clearly spoke and said that I was to speak out like Elijah. And Elijah in 1 Kings, and we're going to read it in 1 Kings chapter 18 from verse 20. And Abba said, just like Joshua, that he was drawing that line in the sand, and when that earthquake came and this chism, this whole thing was breaking open, and this whole, when I saw that chism, and he said he was going to separate, that the darkness is going to become darker, and if you're going to stay on that side, you're going to become dark with them, but if you're going to be on this side, you will become light. And it says, even like I explained that time, it's spoken in Daniel that those who are righteous will become more righteous, but those who are wicked will become more wicked. And they will not understand what the righteous are saying. They will not understand. So, Abba clearly got me to start to speak this as a prophetic word. And since April last year, I have been speaking about mixed seed, where Abba has clearly started to speak, because that dream was about mixed seed. Those multitudes that were in the valley of decision, they were the mixed seed. That was the same mixed seed that was in Noah, in Noah's day. Remember, Noah, when he was on the ark, it was only Noah and his family that came onto the ark, because the rest had mixed their seed. They had mixed their seed with that which was unclean, that which was unholy. They went and mixed their seed. And so this is why Abba started to speak to me and say, you need to be able to declare the scripture from which Elijah spoke, when Elijah spoke and he said to the house of Israel. And this is the word that I want to declare today, which is when he says, and Ahab then sent forth, from 1 Kings 18 from verse 20, it says, Ahab then sent for all the children of Israel and gathered the prophets on Mount Carmel. And Eliyahu came to all the people and said, how long would you keep hopping between two opinions? If Yahuwah is a lure, follow him. And if Baal, follow him. But the people answered him not a word. And Eliyahu said to the people, I alone am left a prophet of Yahuwah, but the prophets of Baal are 450 men. Now let them give us 2 bulls. Okay, so he spoke clearly and he said, Eliyahu came to the people and said, how long would you keep hopping between two opinions? My question to you today is, how long are you going to hop between two opinions? How long are you going to do a little bit of church and a little bit of the ways of the Father? How long are you going to do a little bit of Sunday church, a little bit of Sabbath, a little bit of this, a little bit of that? How long are you going to hop between two decisions? Because it says, between two opinions. If Yahuwah is Alua, follow him. And if Baal, follow him. So people need to this day now start to make decisions, because that was the multitude in the valley of decision. You need to make a decision, because if you want to be a bride, you are not going to be a bride if you are not walking in the ways of Torah. I say this to you today, and by the time we finish with the rest of these scriptures, may you understand that there is a remnant who is a priestly bride. And you will have to decide who you want to be. How long are you going to continue with bold things? If he says in Hosea chapter 2, I have removed the bold names from your lips, then how are you going to continue with those bold names? If he says, I remove the bold names from your lips, and if we know Lord means bold, if we know Adonai is my bold, how long are we going to continue with these bold things that we are going to continue? How long? How long are we going to continue to hop between, we keep a little bit of Sabbath, we go for feast, but then we still want to do Sunday church? What are we doing? And then we want a little bit of Jesus, and then we want a little bit of Yeshua, and then we want a little bit of this, and we want a little bit of that, and then we still want to be able to continue listening to prophets that don't even walk in the ways of Yahuwah, that absolutely don't follow Torah themselves, but then we want to listen to these prophets, and we want a little bit of this, and then we want to have our little talit, and we want to have our little menorah, and we want to have all of this, but we don't want to return back to ways of Torah. And we don't want to walk and be grafted in to Israel and to the covenant that was made with Israel. And that covenant that was made in Israel comes in an entire package. And that covenant was started with Noah, which he was a righteous man. He was perfect in his generation, and he walked with Yahuwah. So, are you going to be a foolish bride? Because the foolish ones, these are the people that need to wake up. And they have decisions to make. And the decisions is that they need to learn to follow him. And that is why he said, most of those people that were there were not even unsaved. A lot of the ones that I saw were people that were saved, but they needed to make a decision to finally commit to follow him wholeheartedly. To be completely set apart unto him. That there will be no blemish or spot or wrinkle found in them. That is what they need to be. So, let's go look at a company of people, and we will see who are these people. Because the Father says, I just want to finish with this scripture. In 1 Kings 18, verses 31. This is very important that you see this. Because Eliyahu took 12 stones. Remember, he spoke to the house of Israel, and he said to them, how long will you waver between two decisions? How long? How long are you going to, if you want to serve Baal, serve him? Baal, you need to understand, Constantine, this is one of the reasons why we got to go to Greece, to break this whole mindset of a Constantine that gave us the lies. Constantine was the first pope, actually. Constantine gave us pagan worship mixed with Christianity, which is called Christianity. And then it started with Catholicism, and eventually then Martin Luther broke away, the just shall live by faith. What faith? What faith do we live in without? It's a faith in who? Abraham was accredited unto righteousness, and he was a man of faith because he believed the Father and obeyed and walked in his ways. What other faith do we have? If we have faith in Yahuwah, that means we obey his commands, we obey his ways, is it not? What, we have faith in faith? What kind of faith? What Holy Spirit have we received? What, just to give us a good time in our flesh? What have we received? A Ruach that is our teacher, He's our guide. He's our teacher. He writes the Torah on our hearts and then helps us to walk it out. So what else have we received? We received the Ruach of Eluah. There's no third person. It's Yahuwah's Ruach. That's the 7 spirits of Yahuwah himself. He is the one who's going to help us to walk out our path. So what are we doing? I don't understand. What are we doing? So now listen to what Eliyahu does. And Eliyahu took the 12 stones, according to the number of the 12 tribes of the sons of Yaakov, to whom the word of Yahuwah had come, saying, Israel is your name. So he took 12 stones representing the 12 tribes of the full house of Israel, not 2 people. So people who turn around and say to me that the 144,000 is only made up of Jews, you got another thing coming your way. Because he's talking about 12 tribes. We're going to get there. Wait. And Eliyahu took 12 stones. Remember, the spirit of Elijah is going to come before the coming of the Son of Man for the second time. Before the coming of the Son of Man, the spirit of Elijah will come. The spirit of Elijah came on John the Baptist. And now the spirit of Elijah is being released again upon his set apart ones. And the spirit of Elijah took 12 stones, according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Jacob, to whom the word of Yahuwah had come, saying, Israel is your name. And with the stones he built a slaughter place in the name of Yahuwah, and he made a trench around the slaughter place, large enough to take hold of 2 seas of seed. So he built an altar made up of 12 tribes of Israel. We are to become that incense altar for the Father to carry his presence. Isn't it so? The house of Israel is the ones that should be the set apart priests for the Father. So now we're going to look at Revelation chapter 7 as we're going to bring this whole message to a close. So let's go look at Revelation chapter 7. And we're going to read from verses 2 to 4. And I saw another messenger coming up from the rising of the sun, holding the seal of Eluah, holding the seal of the living Eluah. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 messengers to whom it was given to harm the earth and the sea, saying, Do not harm the earth, nor the sea, nor the trees, until we have sealed the servants of our Eluah upon their foreheads. And I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000 sealed out of all the tribes of the children of Israel. So is it made up of 12 tribes? And now he starts to name each one of the tribes. So how is the 144,000 only the Jews? It's the Jews. When the Father has got the house of Israel has been scattered into the nations and he's busy gathering them right now. So it's the full house of Israel. Not only Yehuda and Benjamin, because now it's only made up of Judah and Benjamin, which made up 2 tribes, which was the house of Judah. Those are the ones living in the land right now. But what happened to the house of Israel that was in the dispersion, that's been scattered? He will gather them. So now let's go look at Revelation 9 verse 4. Just look there. Revelation 9 verse 4 says, And it was said to them that they shall not harm the grass of the earth, or any green matter, or any tree, but only those men who do not have the seal of Eluah upon their foreheads. Interesting, hey? What was that seal? Remember, we read that the Father is going to seal off those that are his in those concordance numbers. He's sealing them off. Interesting. What is that seal? Let's go look at now Revelation chapter 14. And I looked. So we will read from Revelation 14, 1 to 5. Wow. I was doing awesome things. Revelation 14, 1-5. And I looked and I saw a lamb, and standing on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, and having his Father's name written upon their foreheads. Wow. Isn't that amazing? Did we just read about the 144,000 being sealed on the earth in Revelation chapter 7? And then in Revelation chapter 9, they were not allowed to harm any of those that had the seal. And what is the seal? The name of the Father written upon their foreheads. Did Yeshua in John chapter 17 say, I revealed your name to them, and they were protected in that name? They were guarded in your name. Was the Father's name their protection? Yes. Okay. I heard a voice out of the heaven, like the voice of many waters, like the voice of loud thunder. And I heard the sound of harpers playing their harps. And they sang a renewed song before the throne, and before the 4 living creatures and the elders. And no one was able to learn that song except the 144,000 who were redeemed from the earth. And what did I share the last time when the Father gave me this? It's a song that they sing. But the song that they sing is made up of their lives. Their lives has become a very song unto Yahuwah. They sing a song that no one else can sing, because they are the true worshippers. They are the ones that are set apart. Let's go back to what we read in Zephaniah. What did we read in Zephaniah when the Father said in Zephaniah chapter 2 that He's looking for true worshippers, that He's looking for those that He's going to redeem, the worshippers. And who are these worshippers? John chapter 4, when Yeshua speaks to the woman at the well. And what does He say to the Samaritan woman at the well? He says, the Father, my Father, is looking for true worshippers. And whose name is it being sealed? The Father's name is being sealed upon our forehead. And it says, He's looking for true worshippers, those who will worship Him in spirit and in truth. Because why? They are those that have the word, this word of truth. They're walking this fullness of this word of the truth, and they are hearing His Spirit. Walk here, go there, do this, do that. They know how to hear His Spirit. They know how to obey everything that He commands them to obey, whether it be His spoken word, whether it be His written word. And their life become a very music to the Father. It becomes more than just a song. Their lives become the song that they sing unto Him. With those harps, with the instruments, they become the song. No one can sing that song. Why can they not sing it? The same as the 5 virgins that had the oil in their lamps could not give their oil to the others, because it's about their walk. They had the oil in their lamps. They were waiting for Him. They were seeking Him. They seeked Him with everything within them. They were willing to be obedient. They were willing to be set apart for Him. They were willing to crucify their very flesh. They were willing to go through whatever persecution it is that's going to come their way, because they love Him. And they want to be true to Him, and they want to be true to His word, and they will not deny His name, and they will not deny His word. So He says, verse 4, they are those who are not defiled with women. They are maidens. Where did we read about the maidens? The virgins. And who were they? The 5 virgins that were faithful, the faithful maidens. They are those following, and they were not defiled with women. They did not go into fornication. They did not go into idolatry. They did not go into harlotry. They were not defiled with that woman, Jezebel, that was the one who defiled them with all her sexual immoral ways, of the profanity of this prophetic, of this church, of this religious system. They're not defiled with that religious system anymore. They are those following the Lamb. Okay, did we read in John chapter 10 that says, my sheep will hear my voice, and the voice of a stranger they shall not follow, and they follow me wherever I go, and I know them. There, they follow the Lamb wherever He leads. How do you follow a lamb if you don't even know how to hear his voice? So they have to hear the voice of His spoken word that He speaks to them, and then the written word that He writes to them. They were redeemed from among men, being first fruits to allure to the Lamb. These are the first fruits that John is speaking about in John chapter 17. They know Him. They follow Him. They obey Him. They have His word, and they have His name. Now listen. And in their mouth This was a revelation Father gave me on Wednesday. As people were saying, it's not important the name. The name is not important. It's our relationship with Him that's important. And the Father says, depends on who you want to be. So I said, what do you mean, Abba? As this person spoke this, I said, what do you mean, Abba? And he said, depends on who you want to be. Because if you want to be 144,000, go and read. And he told me there to go read John chapter 14, verse 5. And it says, and in their mouth was found no falsehood, for they are blameless before the throne of Allah. So if in their mouth is found no falsehood, I ask you a question. Is Jesus the name of Yeshua? Is that a false name? That's false, because that was not the name that He was given. Is Lord and God false? Is that the name that He was given? Is He called God? Is He called Lord? Or is that false because it's what we've given? Titles to Him. That was never a title. It's false. So, everything that's falsehood, we are not to speak out of our mouths. And then even the next day, I got even another revelation with someone on one of my groups that I'm in the Sephardic group that I'm part of. And the woman said, why? The father said, why do you call that land Palestine? Why do you call that land West Bank? West Bank. It's not West Bank. There's no such land called West Bank. Stop speaking that. It's a lie. And I thought, clean your mouth, Michael. When this woman put this voice note, and the father said to her, why do you keep calling this West Bank? It is Samaria. It is Judea and Samaria. There's no such place called West Bank. This was man's doing. This is man's doing. It's not my doing. You will have no falsehood upon your lips. You speak truth for what it is. That is why we need to learn to stand for truth and nothing more than the truth. So, yeah, we see clearly, this is a people, isn't it? This is a people that is being prepared. And they're being prepared to be able to come. And I saw, fly, holding the everlasting good news. Okay, now I want to take you to, let's just go read Isaiah chapter 35. Because Isaiah 35 is going to tie in with the rest of what we're going to read. Because there's a highway of holiness, a highway of set-apartness that we need to be able to come into. Isaiah. It's a highway of set-apartness. Isaiah chapter 35. And then we will finish off with the last few scriptures. Because we need, if you don't know what you're preparing for, what are you walking at? You're just existing. There's multitudes in the valley of decision. There is an ark, doors that are closing. And where are you? Because that's what the Father's asking this day. And this whole prophetic insight is being summed up in these last two. A vision and a dream. Everything is summed up there. Destruction is coming. It's at the door. That's what it said when we went and we looked at Joel chapter 3, multitudes in the valley of decision, because the day of Yahuwah is at hand in the valley of decision. You will still be in your decision, and He's going to come. And then what? Where are you in the equation? So we look at we're going to look at verses 8. And there shall be a highway. So, who are you? Do you want to be the set-apart first fruits? A set-apart people, a holy nation, which is what the Father required already from inception when He created Adam and Eve. We're going back to Adam and Eve here. This is what He wanted from the beginning, because we're going to go to eat from a tree of life. So it starts with Adam and Eve, a set-apart people that would be obedient to Him and His ways. And there shall be a highway and a way, and it shall be called the highway of set-apartness. Did we read everything about He's looking for a tamim person, one that's going to be set apart, one that's going to be perfect? The unclean does not pass over it. So do you see when the chism was opening, Those that are there couldn't come to the other side when the earthquake was taking place, when that chasm was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The ones on that side could not get to the ones on the other side. Because where you are set apart. You cannot go to that side. But if you are with them in their camp, and you are not taking the time to become set apart in His ways, what are you doing? You will stay in that camp. Because a little leaven will leaven the whole bunch. The unclean does not pass over it, but it is for those who walk the way, and no fools wander on it. No foolish virgin, no foolish virgin that is not understanding the truth of the Father's ways. Be not those that are uncircumspect. You need to be circumspect. You need to be those that are perfect. Because the foolish shall not go on it. Those foolish virgins that was only taking the flesh. If you are not crucifying the flesh and your flesh ways, and if you are not finding out the Father's will and walking the Father's will, and if it looks good, it sounds good, you run with it, you are going to be a foolish virgin with no oil in your lamp at the end. Because then He says, I don't know you. Because you did not keep my will and my ways. No lion is there, nor any ravenous beast go up on it. It is not found there, but the redeemed shall walk there. And the ransom of Yahuwah shall return and enter Zion. You see, who's that ransom that got ransom that we read about? They got taken. We just read it. Let's just see in Revelation chapter 14. And I looked and I saw a lamb on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000 having the Father's name written upon. And I heard a voice from heaven. And they were redeemed from among men, being first fruits to Yahuwah and to the Lamb. They were redeemed from among men. And they were brought to this Mount Zion with Him. So, do you see? It says, and the ransom of Yahuwah shall return and enter Zion, and singing with everlasting joy on their heads. They shall obtain joy, gladness, and sorrow, and sigh shall flee away. And they are the ransomed of Yahuwah. Because there's nothing unclean found in them. There's a highway of holiness. There's a highway of set apartness. They have chosen to put themselves on that highway. Okay, now we're going to look at Revelation 19. Just a few more scriptures. Revelation 19 verses 8 to 9. So this is the bride, and to her it was given to be dressed in fine linen, clean and bright, for the fine linen is the righteousness of the set apart ones. And he said to me, write, blessed are those who have been called to the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he said to me, these are the true words of Yahuwah. So they were the bride that is invited to the wedding supper of the Lamb. Now remember, it was the ones that had the oil in the lamps that were allowed to sit. So you see, if you want to be a bride, but you are still in mixed seed, a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and you're not coming into the fullness of what the Father's got, and you're not coming into the fullness of His Torah, you're not coming to the fullness of Shabbat, you're not coming into the fullness of keeping the feast, you're not coming to the fullness of removing the bowl names from your lips, you're not coming to the fullness of being able to be set apart as He is set apart. In everything that I've explained in this teaching, cleaning, you need to be a vessel that carries His presence, which means you cannot dress in a way that is profanity, but dress in a way that reflects Him. What is all of this? He's cleaning up a bride. It's like He said to me, have you ever seen a bride wearing pants, Natalia? Tell me something, Natalia. Have you ever seen a bride wearing pants? Do you ever see a bride walking down the aisle that's wearing pants? Where did this all come from? Go and see where it all came from. This whole thing came from where? It came from the late 1800s, early 1900s, when woman's lib came into place. And when this woman's lib came into place, what happened then? With that came many things. All of a sudden, women have jobs equal to men. And they want to be in the marketplace. And now they are important. And now they wear men's clothes. And now they do the jobs that they were supposed to be working in their homes. They could use textiles and everything. I mean, there's a Proverbs 31 woman. It's not that she didn't work. But now we want to do everything that the men do. And this is when the home became defiled. Because why? Women now go into the marketplace. They need to go and earn a living in the marketplace, which means now came more adultery, because now all of a sudden these women are there. Now she becomes self-sufficient. She becomes independent. She can take care of her own children. So I can divorce my husband now. You know why? Because now I can fend for myself. I am now liberal. I am now defend myself. I don't need a man to take care of me anymore. I can take care of myself. So guess what? If I want to divorce him, I divorce him, because it doesn't matter. And now those children are messed up, because now the roles have been reversed. Mommy, instead of mommy being at home with her, now you've got to have more money to be able to put children in a creche. And money is going for things that shouldn't have been going for. And this is where we now have lost the plot altogether. So now divorce is on the increase like it's never been. Children are confused. They don't even know if they a boy or a girl, because now roles are just all reversed. Go do your own little research on this, because this is what the Father showed me. When I said, Father, I don't understand. So he says, and to her it was given to be dressed in fine linen, clean and bright, for the fine linen is the righteousness of the set-apart ones. The righteousness of the set-apart ones. So what is that word righteousness? So she's dressed in righteousness. For the fine linen is the righteousness. So what is that fine linen that she's dressed in? Righteousness. The righteousness is observing the divine laws, the upright, righteous, virtuous, keeping his commands of Yah, innocent, faultless, guiltless, a person whose way of thinking, feeling and acting is wholly conformed to the will of Yahuwah, which is exactly what we read when we said that the Torah is written upon our hearts, which means our heart has got the Torah on there, which means the nefesh, the heart is the lev, which is the nefesh, which is the soul of man, which means your mind, your will and your emotions, everything is lined up with ways of Torah, which is the ways of his commands. And so they are approved, acceptable by Yah. That is the righteous. That is what it means to have righteousness. It's righteous. Who are these righteous? These righteous are the tzaddik. They are the tzaddik. They are the righteous. And so we sit and we see that is what it means. The bride is righteous. She has returned back to ways of Torah. Those are the righteousness. And she's innocent. She's faultless. She's guiltless. She's virtuous. She's keeping the commands of Yah. She's upright. She keeps she's observing the divine laws. That is that righteousness. Now, we're going to finish up by looking at Revelation chapter 22. Revelation chapter 22, verses 3 and 4. Because the Father's looking for a highway of holiness. He's bringing a set-apart people. And look at what it says. And no longer shall there be any curse. And the throne of Yahuwah and the Lamb shall be in it. And his servants shall serve him. And they shall see his face. And his name shall be upon their foreheads. Do we see the name shall be upon their foreheads? His name. Did Yeshua come in John chapter 17 reveal the Father's name? Was the Father's name important? He says, and I shall reveal it, and it shall be revealed. It shall be known. Your name shall be known. Why? Because it was being profaned among the nations, which is what he said. This is part of the restoration. Because if we go look, let me just quickly give you this because it's just coming to me now. What were the two things that we said? We're going to be washed by the word. Everything that we picked up all the time in John chapter 17, it was they were guarded, they were set apart in his word. And they were protected in his name. Okay, so now if we go look at the church of Philadelphia, the faithful church. So, Revelation chapter 3 verses 7. And to the messenger of the assembly of Philadelphia write, he who is set apart, he who is true, He who has the key of David, he who opens and no one shuts, and shuts and no one opens, says this: I know your works. See, I've set before you an open door, and no one is able to shut it. That you have little power, and have guarded my word, and have not denied my name. There's the two things that you're going to have to do. You're going to have to, number one, guard my word, and have not denied my name. So these two things come up all the time. We were set apart in his word, and we have been guarded in his name. Yahweh talks about, and they shall see the face, and his name shall be upon their foreheads. So how does anybody want to say to me, I understand that that name is the character. It doesn't help you to know the name and not know the character of that name and to walk in obedience to that name. You need to have the character and the character of that name, because that name carries an authority and power. It's the character and the authority and the power of that name. And then we look at Revelation chapter 22 verses 11 to 15, and it says, and this is where we are right now, and this is the multitudes in the valley of decision. If they do not make a decision to be able to come to the other side, look and see what's going to happen. And Yeshua sitting on an ark and saying, I've sent them servant upon servant upon servant, and they didn't want to listen. He who does wrong, let him do more wrong. He who is filthy, let him be more filthy. He who is righteous, let him be more righteous. He who is set apart, let him be more set apart. And see, I am coming speedily, and my reward is with me, to give to each one according to his work. So best we'd be doing the work that is according to his will, not what we think is what we should run after. Just because they're going to pray and run there and do this and do that, if the Father never told you to do it, why are you doing it? Because it sounds like a good idea. Best you seek the Father to find out what he's telling you to do. Because imagine you get to the end of your life and you've done all of this for the Father, and he says, none of this was my will for your life. Because you thought it was a good idea, but it was not what I intended for you. How sad would that day be? I am the Aleph and the Taf. I am the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Blessed are those doing his commandments, so that the authority shall be theirs unto the tree of life, and to enter through the gates into the city. You see, those are the ones that are going to enter the gates into the city. And who's going to be outside? Let's look. And outside are the dogs, and those who enchant with drugs, and those who whore, and the murderers, and the idolaters, and those who love and do falsehood. So do you see why falsehood is so important, that we cleanse it from our lips? I who have sent my messenger to the witness to you these matters in the assemblies. I am the root and the offspring of David, the bright and morning star. And the Spirit and the bride say, come. And he who hears, let him say, come. And he who thirsts, come. And he who desires it, take the water of life without pain. Now I finish with verse 20. He that bears witness of these matters says, yes, I am coming speedily. Amen. Yes, come, Master Yeshua. The favor of our Master Yeshua Messiah be with the set apart ones. Amen. With the set apart ones. So you choose this day if you want to be a set apart one. Because the multitudes in the valley of decision have to make a decision. And at the same time, Noah, there was only 8 people that came into the ark. And outside were those with mixed seed. You can no longer profane the holy things of the Father. What's holy is holy unto him. And if you want to be able to follow him, follow him. If you want to follow Baal, follow him. But Abba will not accept mixed seed, because it's not going to work anymore. Because we are in a time now where Father is sealing up those that are his from those that are not, which is exactly what he said in the stream. And He wants a set-apart people. And we need to make a decision now. If you do not know who you are or what you're walking towards, how do you know how to walk? Do you understand? So I want to finish up with this is going to be a poem that I wrote also in 2014. This was just as I finished my fast in 2014. And the fast was when I was given all those concordance numbers in the beginning of the fast, and I finished the fast, and on the 12th of March 2014, which is, we are in the third day of this poem, and this is the poem I want to finish up with, because this was the poem that the Father gave me at the end of my 40-day fast in 2014. And this is what it says. Thank you, Abba, that this will be to the glory and the honor of your name. Arise and shine. The hour is late. It's time to rise up and to be awake. Great darkness shall soon cover the earth. A time of destruction, a time of much death. The earth has started to shake, and soon the release of the greatest earthquake. I shall not stand for the dividing of my land, and because of this, destruction is at hand. Nation will rise against nation, and wickedness will increase. So will pestilence and disease. My judgments will now be released. No time for my people to be at ease. It's time for you to take your place. It's time for you to earnestly seek my face. There is no need to fear as the end of this dispensation draws near. Know that it is for a time such as this you have been created, to bring in the greatest harvest of mankind's salvation. They will come to the brightness of your light in a time when everything will be as the darkness of the night. I have need of you in this hour, so that they may see my glory and my power. So my people, I say again, do not fear. Come and draw near. I will protect you under the shadow of my wing. As your surrendered lives to me, you need to bring. Remember, if you try to save your life, you will lose it. But if you lose your life for me, you will surely save it. The testing and the trials have already begun, as I will sift and separate those that are mine. Obedience is the key that will draw you close to me. Obedience is the only way that by your side I can stay. It's by you obeying that you will overcome the destruction that is soon to come. So be still and know that I am Alua, the one to whom you can trust your very being. So hear my small still voice say to you, fear not, for I am with you, beloved, even until the end of the age. Lift up your eyes. Where does your help come from? It comes from me, the creator of heaven and earth. I am that I am. Yod He Vav He, Yahuwah, your Alua. Amen. Let us just close off in prayer. Oh, Abba Yahuwah, I thank you for your word, my King. I thank you for your message. And I thank you, Abba Father, that you are so mindful of us, that you would give us these words in this time, especially in this time of the month of Elul, where this is the month where you're beckoning your bride to draw nigh unto you. Abba, I pray, please, my Father, my King, will you please come and search our hearts, Abba, where we need to be able to crucify our flesh. If there's things in our flesh that we still need to crucify that is not lining up with your ways, Abba, help us, my King. Abba, I pray that you come and root up out of us everything that is standing against you and your word and your way. Abba, we do not want to be those multitudes in the valley of decision, Abba. Abba, we do not want to be those in the valley of decision, Abba. We want to be those that will be in an ark, safe in the presence of who you are, safe in the presence of your word, safe in the presence of your name, safe in the presence of your character, of your authority and your power. Abba, teach us, I pray, to truly know what it means to walk in your ways, as David constantly prayed that. Abba, it's not just a case of being able to return back to your word, but it's a case of being able to hear your Ruach speak in our hearts. We need more of you, Abba, and less of us. We need to hear more of your voice. We need to hear more of who you are and what it is that you require of us. Abba, we know that great darkness is coming upon this earth. Abba, we want to be those that will be faithful. We want to be those that will stand in the hour of trial. And I thank you, Abba, that you said you will keep us. You will keep us. That you are a safety for those, for your people. You will save your people. You will help those your people. What do you say here? You said, but Yahuwah will be a shelter for his people. Abba, that you will be a shelter. You are the ark. You are the ark that will shelter us, Abba. Your very presence, your glory. Teach us, my King, to truly know what it means to crucify your flesh, that there are things that we stand up against. That is your way, but we stand up against it. That you bring trials, you bring tribulation, you bring so many things across our path. You bring people that shake us and mold us and to root out of us what is not of you. Father, I pray, do a work in our mind, in our will, in our emotions. Do a deeper work within our hearts, in our nefesh, our mind, our will, our emotions, so that everything about us lines up with you and your word. I just want to thank you, Abba Father. Help us in this time of this month of Elul, that we can really, really draw closer to you, Abba. And that we can be that bride that will be emerged out of the fire, dressed in white linen, so that our righteousness is in everything that you have given us to walk out, whether it be your spoken word or written word, Abba. And that we will truly be those that will have faith, because you say, when I come, will I find faith on the earth? Will we have faith in who you are and what your word says, and that we will know this word, that what is going to have to come, so that we will know to have to stand. So I praise and I thank you for this, Abba. Thank you for the series, Abba. Will you seal it with the blood of Yahushua? Will you seal it with the blood of Yahushua? And I want to say, come, Yahushua, come. This world has so much need of you. But Abba, when I think of those multitudes, I understand why you delay. I understand why you delay your coming, Abba. I still cry out for mercy for them, Abba. I cry out for mercy for all those that are still not there, Abba. I cry out for mercy, Abba, please. I cry out for mercy for all of those that need to hear your word. Raise up your remnant in this hour to speak your word, so that they too can come in, Abba. I thank you. And strengthen your remnant, strengthen your bride. Let her know who she truly is, to be set apart unto you. I praise and I thank you for this in Yeshua's name. Amen.